welcome to another edition to the PlayStation Culture Podcast, where we are going to discuss three important topics here. There was a recent interview with Jim Ryan at the TMT Post interview. I don't know, I've never heard of that place before. Have you guys?
Mm-mm.
Nope.
But regardless, it was a very enlightening one. That was very cool. Um, Should the PSP 2 exist? Why did I call it PSP 2? Because the PS Vita was never said to be the successor to the PSP. They wanted to do something different, but that's an obscure factoid. But we're going to talk about, since Steam has their little handheld, mm, should there be a PlayStation Portable 2, or if you want to call it 3? And then last topic, we're going to talk about the PlayStation 5 shortages, possibly just giving W's to the competition. Sony needs to get on board. But we're going to talk about the ramifications of that and why that's happening. But before we start, let's introduce ourselves. I am Josh, obviously. We got Ken, the dishonorable,
Yo, yo.
and Nelson Gaming. He won't be here for a while. So this is going to be his last podcast for a little bit. He got some interesting things going on in his life, which is really, really cool. So let us begin. PSP2. Should that be a thing? Should it be a thing? I'm going to go out and say no. And let me just test my volume. So okay, cool. Just making sure it was it's working. Making sure it's working. Relax. Shit. Should it be a thing? I'm gonna go out on a limb and say no. Y'all niggas had y'all voice, and everyone shut it down. I distinctly remember at E3 when the Vita showed up, and they called it the PlayStation next generation PlayStation Portable, something of that next gen portable something. And everyone was like, "That bitch looks expensive. That looks extremely expensive." I don't think. And then they came out and said it was $250. I believe. I think the DS was the same price. Was it the same price?
The DS.
Yeah, the DS. Oh no, 3DS.
Oh,
Excuse me.
the 3DS.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, man, I forgot. That was a long time ago. Um, I'm not sure, man. To be honest with you.
I think they were very close in price. It came out with two analog sticks, two cameras, a touchpad, touchscreen, and a formidable CPU and GPU. Enough to make console gaming a thing for portability. And all of y'all motherfuckers did it this justice. And I don't want to hear anything about, oh, the memory cards were expensive. We're going to pay for it. It was literally, you could have did it. You could have done it. So maybe this was a case of the wrong place at the wrong time. What do you have to say about that, Kim?
About a PSP 2.
Mm.
Per personally, um, obviously, I'm a fan of like, the Switch and stuff like that, right? But I don't know, man. I feel like Sony's resources are better spent elsewhere. You know what I mean? Um, it's already been kind of like shown that people didn't really support the portable devices that Sony had, whether it was the Vita and the PSP pretty much died off after a little while. You know what I mean? Which it had its moment. You know what I mean? Like even Sean Layden, when he took over the PS3, during the PS3 era, I think it was what for Worldwide Studios, I believe. He mentioned that the PSP was kind of like their basically their saving grace because the PS3 was just not selling. So I mean, it had its time in the light, but in my opinion, I don't know. I don't really think that the fan base is there or the audience is there, at least not on the PlayStation platform. And I feel like their resources are better spent elsewhere, to be honest. I like the fact that they're investing more into their studios as opposed to, like say the handheld stuff. So not that I don't want it, but I mean I think it's cool. It would be nice if they could find like a balance, but you know, in my opinion, I don't know. I just don't think it would survive. To be honest with you.
So Before I ask you a question, Ken, I want to ask Nelson. What do you think about the PS, a successor to the Vita? How would you feel about that?
I mean, let's be honest, the Vita was great, but it was hard to keep games that people wanted if you wanted to control the console market and the or the handheld market and the VR market. It just you can't keep great content coming on all of them. You have to kind of pick and choose your battles. You can be mediocre in all of them, or you can control one and be on the rise on another, but you can't dominate all three. And I think that's what happened to the Vita was it wasn't getting a lot of support because PS4 was taken off and they smelled blood in the water in the console space and there's not a close really second, maybe Nintendo, I guess.
I don't think the
But
Vita
they
was selling very well either, man. If I
it
remember correctly.
wasn't, but there's you think of PSP, you can think of games back then that were big on that platform, and then the Vita there's not really not a lot. Like Golden Abyss, there was a Killzone. I mean, but there's not really a lot you'd buy a Vita for.
You know what's
I was there. I was there when it launched. I was there when it was announced, and I was there when um I was there when the interest for the Vita dropped, and it was when they started announcing the different SKUs, and they started to explain what was going on, how that would work. I mean, yeah, the technical side of things, it would sound much more powerful than a 3DS. Um, but really did it in was a lot of different things. You mentioned content, Nelson. What content would you think would be worth it, viable?
Like the big hitters that like
Because they had Call of Duty, they had Uncharted, they had Killzone, they had new IPs, they had a SOCOM light game.
nobody was really into that. You think of Golden
But
Abyss
they had
and
Call of Duty.
Killzone as
Nobody was into that shit either. Still,
nobody's still playing Call of Duty on a handheld though.
depending on the
So
phone though.
I
So
ain't playing it on no phone, I guess. But
I don't know. I feel like the majority of people are probably playing it on console, man. To be honest.
no, but it being a handheld, a popular IP, it should have done way better numbers. Like way better numbers. It had all of the inputs you could possibly have. It had cross game chat before before the fucking PlayStation home consoles. Like it really you can play music, any kind of music you can play simultaneously while you're listening to games so long as they open the feature. It was just so much. It had a browser. It had every fucking thing. But when
You
they
know,
announced the when they announced the um the storage options is when it dropped off. And to be honest with you, the 3DS wasn't doing that great either, until they dropped the price significantly.
I was gonna say, man, it's funny because I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna say that I never owned the Vita. You know, I never played it. It is what it is. I just I just remember, it's funny because one of the only things that I remember about the Vita, um, was the fact that the memory was so expensive. I remember because I remember when I went into GameStop like some years ago now, when it first came out, I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. It's kind of like a portable PlayStation, like a PSP, kind of like in my at least from what I remember, like being a PSP success or whatever. And and then I went in and I was going to buy it, but then I was like, dude, like the memory expansion is so expensive. I was like, I don't really want to spend that much money on it, to be honest with you. And I didn't really see anything up there that I was that interested in, so I don't know. I mean, they had Uncharted, obviously, which I was a big fan of, and I still am. And I remember seeing Gravity Rush, which I thought was cool. Um, but that was pretty much where it was. I don't know. It just what they had at the time didn't really justify the price for me. So I don't know if maybe that was kind of like the reality for a lot of other people.
So I got a couple of questions for you, Ken. How do you use your Switch? Docked or
I use
undocked?
it docked. I use it docked mostly because I the frame rate is worse when it's undocked and the resolution is worse.
Well,
So
the resolution, it fills every pixel for the most part, especially when you're playing Nintendo games. It's all the pixels, which means that you don't have any aliasing issues. So it's pretty much a perfect 1-to-1. And in terms of the actual frame rate, they usually it's about a frame or two, maybe 5 frames at the most, in the most dramatic situations, comparatively from docked and undocked. You get an extra bit of resolution because it gives the chip more power, so it's almost a wash. So
yeah, I noticed the there's a big, well, I don't know if I'd say a big difference, but I could tell the performance difference with between both the Switch and the docked version and undocked.
see, one of the things that I do is I do investigative work beyond the stuff that I actually like, and I could tell you there is probably on average a 3 frames per second difference between docked and undocked. The thing is, it is just what controller do you have?
So
Like
I I
when you play
use
docked, what do you use?
I use the I don't even know what they call it, but it's
Is it is
the
it the
the,
is
the
it
Switch
the
controller.
is it the Joy Cons or is it a whole controller?
Well, they have
Is it a whole
like a
controller
controller
or a
adapter.
Joy-Con?
No, it's the Joy-Cons, but it's like an adapter that you could put the Joy-Cons into.
Okay,
So
so
it kind of feels more like a controller.
it made it like a controller. So, and this is my point. This is my point, right? I'm going to say this, and this is what people don't know or understand. I struggled. I struggled to find use to actually stream, not stream, excuse me, I'm sorry, to actually play games on my handheld. I struggled. My life after college years, I had to play. I had to do laundry to give it use. That's how I beat Gravity Rush. I had to find uses for it. Back when I was young and just out of high school, I would take public transportation and I would have my Vita and play with it in 20-minute spurts. Now that was the whole thing. So the media actually dictated how we thought about the hardware. Did you buy that adapter for Joy-Con or did it come with it?
Oh man, I honestly I can't remember, man. I think I bought it separately if I'm not mistaken.
Let's take a look.
I can't remember if it came with it or not,
I'm
man.
gonna see and I'm gonna tell you how powerful social media is.
That shit came out in like 2017, man. That was like almost 5 years ago. Now I don't remember, man.
Okay, let me take a look here. So the
Well,
Joy-Con.
you know what?
Hmm?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, go
Go
on. What were
ahead.
you gonna say?
Now I was gonna say, I think because I didn't, I remember at the time when the Switch came out, it was sold out, so I couldn't get it on launch. It literally took like a year before I could actually get it because it was sold out everywhere. You could not get your hands on that thing.
So how did you play it before it? Because you did purchase it, but how did you play it before it?
What, before I got the controller
Mm-hmm.
or the adapter?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think I bought it all together, man. To be honest,
Oh,
if I
the Switch
remember
and everything
correctly.
else to go. So here's the thing
Yeah.
that's kind of interesting. The cost for an 8 GB uh, external memory slot there for the Vita was about $20, 23. That Joy-Con currently right now, that Joy-Con adapter is about $11. Let's just say $15. But the media was so powerful to kind of shut down what Sony was doing. They made it extremely distasteful. Oh, it could download things online, but you know what? It's never going to fill anything up. We have that same problem nowadays. When you buy a game for the Switch, people are buying it physically. But the media wanted so badly for that device to fail. I don't know why.
What, the Vita?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It had an OLED. People had a problem with that shit too. Like they were like, I mean, it looks nice, but it was so terrible. It was so terrible. And a $10 difference for it, because you was to me when I had the Vita, I used the memory extending or external memory for saving my games because you couldn't save your games natively on the card itself. And I just bought something 8 gigabytes, and kept it moving.
Yeah.
When I got more money, I could afford the 16. I never got this 32. I should look that up online so I could be done with it, but maybe I will. But I got the 16, and that was about like $40. Comparatively, it was a bad proposition, and there was a lot of reasons for it. The Vita, excuse me, the PSP, and I'm sure Nelson remembers this shit. The PSP actually started to slump in sales halfway through its life, and then the homebrew community brought that shit back to life. It spread it like wildfire, that you can literally steal games for free.
The what?
Homebrew.
You don't know what homebrew is?
Nah.
Oh shit, he's young. The the gosh, why can't I remember shit
It's
nowadays?
your emulator.
It's piracy.
Oh, okay. Okay.
You can do a whole
That's
bunch
what
of
my Wii is. My Wii is homebrew.
yeah. He was like homebrew.
It's never had a Wii game in that bitch. It is homebrew.
He was like homebrew. What's that?
What
is
that?
Nigga,
Meryl, can you hear me?
Here's a throat licence, nigga. Yo, you sick. What's that? But yeah, it was pirated to hell. And when Sony released God of War for the PSP, it started to sell well, and then word got around. They started to fucking pirate that too, and everything the fuck else. So the developers went to Sony. It was like, yo, we're not selling shit, but people sure as hell is playing our games. What you gonna do about it? And Sony was like, the only way that they could stop it from happening, any kind of exploits, is to create some sort of proprietary, because it was a micro SD basically, but it was a proprietary micro SD. And because it was proprietary, this is one of the reasons why a lot of people have, they're a little bit nervous with the proprietary SSD for the Series X, which we'll talk about soon regarding that, is that it's proprietary. It usually costs a lot of money if it's specialized, and you have to have a specialized factory and fabrication process and stuff like that. That is what's going on. Now, the reason why I say this is because people are usually, and you're not the only one, Ken, that plays the Switch docked. You're not the only one. It's crazy, but people, when they associate game consoles, they will play it undocked, when they go out for like trips and shit like that, but 9 times out of 10 it's going to be docked.
Oh, yeah, undocked.
And not because of software reasons, but it's more comfortable to look at a bigger screen and usually they buy the Joy-Con. They buy not the Joy-Con controllers, but they buy the actual the Pro controller, which is like $50 or $60. But yet back in the day we had a problem with a $24 memory card.
Yeah, I was gonna say this too because I think one of the reasons why me and probably a lot of other people played the dock version, outside of the difference in the performance, which I know you said it's a slight difference, but I can notice the difference.
Yeah, when your
When I
frame rate is
play.
so fucking low, I mean, it starts
Yeah.
to add up. If I had a 60 frames per second game and it dropped 2 frames, it's gonna be hard to notice. But if my game is already running at 25 frames per second and it drops 3, oh yeah, I'm noticing it.
Yeah, you're gonna notice it. Yeah,
You know what I mean?
but the other thing too was the fact that I don't know, man. I think a lot of us are like just console gamers, and it's really not a shot against the actual portable method, but like for me for example, man, I love playing on the console myself. You know what I mean? So, and you're right. I do feel more comfortable playing, with the TV and a controller in my hand. The portable, I don't know, man. The portable thing is nice, but I don't know. It hurts my hands after a while, and it's just, I
It's
don't
a
know, man.
heavy.
I'd rather have a controller.
It's hefty. It's hefty. I
Yeah.
remember Sony had to try to make that bitch as small as possible because people were like, "Oh, look how big it is. It's that how you gonna put it in your pocket?" The media was going so ham on that shit. I carry cargo pants, and I mean that's nice if it's cargo pants. But what about the days where I have regular jeans and then I don't want to scratch up the screen? When with the 3DS, I could just close it and it protects the screen, and in the real state, my pocket is big. When in actuality, it was half of an inch. You know.
Put that bitch in your fanny pack.
Now people have a system that's even bigger,
Yeah, man.
and now you gotta carry fanny packs and shit for this. I mean, I look at things and I have to chuckle. People are fucking irritating, to say the least. They're fucking irritating. I don't like it. I don't. I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like, we got a game. Okay, so I will be interested in learning, right? Male to female ratio when it's docked and not docked per gender. Pause. But yeah, I would like to figure it out. 'Cause I have a thought. I have a theory. I think a lot of female gamers that use a Switch, they would probably like that shit. They would use it as a tablet and be like, oh, okay, let me play Animal Planet. Oh, let me just tap the screen. Oh, he's so cute. So that's, that's how I would see it. As in, if you are a dude, you want to play Smash Brothers or you want to play Zelda or whichever game that you have, then you're going to connect it to a TV. You're going to feel more at home with it. But I struggled. What's going on, Umar? I struggled so badly to try to play that game, the Vita portable.
Yeah, what's good, Umar?
And it was crazy, right? Because like I had a PS4 at the time and I had the Vita. And I was like, man, like I really want to play my PS4, but the screen for the Vita looks better than my actual screen. So, I would be caught in the middle. It felt like it was cannibalizing my gaming experience, the Vita, because you couldn't connect it to the TV. It wasn't like two different consoles. It was like you either do this or that. You know what I mean? So I would lay in my bed and I would have YouTube videos running on my PS4. You know what I mean? While playing the Vita. Like it was such a weird situation. Nelson, how was your experience with the Vita?
I never had a Vita. I had a PSP. I never bought a
How was
Vita.
your experience with the PSP?
I liked it. Got to
He's-
play Peace Walker on it and Crisis Core, and
I liked
it was good. It was better than the Nintendo stuff they had out. I thought.
it, bro.
I thought the Game
like,
Gear was better than the Game Boy too. The only problem was I never wanted a Game Gear because I couldn't afford to keep putting batteries in that
the
bitch.
screen was. I will say this as an avid Game Gear player, the screen was fucked up. If you were in regular daylit room, it was fucked up. You had to be like in a lightly lit room for the screen to be.
I had an OG fucking Game Boy. You couldn't see that shit if it was sunny outside, and that shit was black and
Yeah,
white.
it was. It was. See with the Game Boy, it's backlit. It wasn't backlit, so it relied on the light. You know what I'm saying? But you had a full-on color screen that was backlit, so I would have to play in a regular lit room. But if it was daytime, I would have trouble, and you definitely couldn't take that bitch outside. Sit your ass down somewhere. And what issues did you have, Umar? With
Yeah, I
the
was just about to ask him what what issues did you have with it
you
with the
know
Vita?
now for the PSP though, for the PSP, bro, that was my Bonnie and Clyde. I had a lot. I was moving from place to place, my dude. I played this. I still have it. I remember I got it when it was after I got out of high school. And I was afraid at that time. I was like, how the fuck am I going to balance this when the PlayStation 2 is so powerful? You know what I mean? I'm literally carrying a PS2 in my pocket. you know. And then they had a launch game was the Grand Theft Auto game, the Grand Theft Auto Liberty City Stories, and it looked better than the PlayStation 2 version. And I'm like, what the fuck? And then Siphon Filter was my shit, and everybody complained about, oh, it only had one analog stick and blah 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 blah. But no one said anything about the DS having one analog stick. But I digress. It was so annoying, yo. It's like everything just got away with everything. Stick drift. I never had stick drift, even when I put it in my pocket. To this day, I still use it and never had stick drift. There are delicate sticks though, but I never had it. I never had stick drifts, but knock on wood, I never really. This is wood. Or I could have knocked on my penis, but I never had stick drift. But
Shit's
um,
hard, yo.
I know. But
It just sounded kind of hard.
other than that, like I, it's one of those situations where if Sony made a Vita 2 or another Vita, no one would appreciate it. It was always Sony was always right at the absolute mark of its perfection. With the PSP, the UMDs just couldn't be. It just you couldn't use the UMDs. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you had the UMDs was such a stop mark for digital distribution and actual physical, and then with the Vita, the store was actually pretty. The store was actually better than the PS3 and sometimes the PS4 version. And stuff that you had on the PS4, you can literally move to the PS Vita, literally. So
Yo, I heard some people they were ever since like Steam or Valve came out with this whole Steam Deck thing, the idea of it or whatever. Some people were talking about how maybe PlayStation could sort of use the Steam Deck as like I guess a platform to where you could play some of their games portable. So you wouldn't really have like the next Vita, the Vita 2 or the PSP 2 or whatever, but you would be able to play whatever games they have available on Steam through the Steam Deck,
I
which
heard that there are some games that are not compatible with Steam Deck. I think Umar posted that in the Discord, which you should really use the Discord and sign up for it. It's right on the About section. You can just sign up for it. It's free. There's a lot of inside jokes, funny shit going on in there. Shameless plug one more time. But Umar posted that in there, and you're not going to be able to play all your Steam games on that bitch. So there's that.
You know what, man? I want to ask you, man, because like I said, I never really owned a Vita, or I never owned one. If I were to get one, what could I do in terms
You
of
broke up really
content?
badly. Say it again.
I said if I get a Vita now, right?
Hmm.
If I decide to get one, say tomorrow, right? What can I look forward to in terms of content?
You mean like in the future?
No, I mean like what they have for it already.
They have PS1 games and PSP games. So, and it runs them all of them way better. Like Siphon Filter was a 30 frames per second game. It basically is 60 frames on your Vita. You know what I'm saying? The games themselves. The funny thing is, there was a game called Soul Sacrifice. I think you will like that game a lot. There's a lot of Japanese games that came out because that's where it thrived. It was a lot of. I think they stopped at 12 to 15 million. By the way, there are a lot of indie games as well as you already kind of gathered. That's on there. Me personally, I use it for my PS1 portable and my
Okay.
PSP port.
So
My PSP.
so is it like emulated or do you have to like rebuy them or how does that work?
If you bought them on a PS3 or if you bought them digitally, then you could buy them or you could just download them. Sometimes I think you need your PS3 or 4 to convert them, but the store functions the same way. If you buy a PSP game or PSP game or a PS Vita game or a PS1 game, you could just pull it from your transaction history and then download
So
it natively.
then so then it wouldn't really make sense for like say someone like me to pick it up nowadays in 2021, would it?
What would you be looking for if you bought what would you be looking for?
Well, I mean, I could tell you right now I didn't buy a bunch of PS1 games on my PS3. So I don't. I mean, unless I go to the PS3 store specifically, um,
But no. But
to
what?
buy PS1 games.
But what are you looking for?
I mean, I just like anything else, man. Just whatever type of games they have up there that
Like,
that kind of highlights the
What
console.
genre are you looking for?
Um, I don't know. I don't really have one in particular.
What do you
I
play
mean,
on
I
other than first party games? What games do you play on the Switch?
on the Switch, not none really, to
Okay.
be honest. Because I mean, I don't know, bro. Like the Switch is great for its first party content. As far as the third party stuff, man, I don't like playing it undocked. You know what I'm saying? So if I'm gonna play the console version, quote unquote, of the Switch, which is the docked version, I would prefer to play it on a console that runs the game better. You know what I'm saying?
So
So
I would say this: the PSP games are formidable, even to this day. Absolutely formidable. They're gorgeous. Whether you have the LCD or the OLED, they're absolutely gorgeous. You know homebrew the Vita, just to be clear. But I would say PSP games would be really big. Um, because they functionally, I mean, shit, you're playing the Switch, and it's not much of an upgrade from that generation anyway. So you should be right at home. Especially
but
with that Skyward Sword.
yeah, you know what, man? I liked it when it came out, man. It was awesome when I
No,
played
that's
it.
okay. You can
Personally.
like it, but if you're looking for a next generation experience, like I said before, a lot of Japanese games, um, a lot of Japanese games, a lot of Monster Hunter S games. That's what they have. Um,
Okay.
that's what really thrived on that, and then indie games. You know,
Okay.
well, for me personally, a lot of the PSP games, people didn't understand that the PSP was such a man. Like, I mean, it had arguably second best lineup overall in the PlayStation stable. It was PS2, and then there was the the PSP. It was that good. It was that good,
Okay.
and they looked
I
great.
remember I remember when we were younger, when I was younger, my me and my friends used to play that all the time. The PSP anyway. I never owned the PS
So
Vita, but the
and your
PS
friends play with yourselves? Would you say?
yeah, a lot all the time, man. I'm saying.
Okay, continue.
Lights on, lights off. No, but I just remember playing the PSP, man. Um, but it was fun. It was fun back in the day. But
Ad
I
hoc.
haven't
You remember
played it in
that?
so
You remember
long.
that ad hoc?
Ad hoc, no.
Oh, you don't know what that is either?
No.
Basically, it was like a LAN party, or you connect your two consoles directly, and you would just have two TVs. But instead of it being a LAN party, it would connect Wi-Fi. So it wouldn't use internet access, but you would have a much more powerful connection between you and your friend, while y'all play multiplayer games. But they had Tekken. They had a Tekken that was really fucking good. They had what do you call that game again? That was comparable to Gran Turismo, but was like arcade.
Midnight Club.
No, Gran Turismo,
Uh, Gran
Ridge Racer.
Turismo. Oh, okay.
Oh man, they. I don't know. I mean, your guys are gonna have to. Y'all gonna have to do your research. I know Nelson already had it, so he already knew about it. But I think we exhausted that subject here. I'm gonna pass it off to Ken, man. What we got
Yeah,
next?
man. All right, man. So yeah, let's move on to the next topic. So the next topic that we have, I actually find this particularly interesting. And it's in regards to Sony and the PS5 and the shortages and how that could potentially be hurting them more than the actual competition. Um, so I noticed that over the last few days or whatever, right? We've had this information that came out that the Xbox, I don't know which region it was in, but they had won the June NPDs for I don't remember, I don't think it was necessarily console sales if
They
I
said
remember
money
correctly.
wise.
Yeah, it was like overall money, but either way, like they said that the Xbox had won the NPDs for the month of June. And I started to think, I was like, okay, huh, if if the demand is so high for the PS5, right? Which it is, and it still is, right? Why is Xbox winning the June NPDs, right? Quote unquote winning. You know what I'm saying? And I started to think, well, I'm starting to think that the supply constraints that the PS5 has at the moment, in terms of them being able to get it out to people or whatever, is actually hurting them more more than the actual competition. You know what I'm saying? I think people are starting to get more frustrated at the fact that they can't get the PS5. You know, even though that's really the console that they want, then from that point they're just going over to the competition. They're like, I can't get the PS5, for whatever reason, so I'm just gonna go get an Xbox. You know what I'm saying? Which obviously we know is in lesser demand, but it's probably just a little bit easier to get. So I don't know. Did you have anything that you kind of thought about that, man? I just thought it was an interesting topic, Josh.
I think you should actually ask Nelson first.
What do you think, Nelson?
I have a lot to say. That's why.
What do you think, Nelson? I think he might have walked away. His kids got him, yo.
They ate him. A
They ate
shark.
him
A
alive.
shark ate him. So what do I think?
Or maybe his mic, 'cause he did say that his mic doesn't work all the time, so that
He
might be
is
what it
about to
is.
sign out and sign back in. That way he's coming back in. He'll be like, "Can you guys hear me? What the fuck, man?"
Yeah, yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah, well, if you look at the actual numbers, Xbox sold like 8,000 more systems or whatever than PS5 in the US, but in like Europe and wherever the hell the other places were, it wasn't even close. So they
Yeah,
didn't ship
you mean
a
like
whole lot
worldwide sales?
Yeah,
there.
but
Yeah,
I wanna focus on.
they only sold like, or they only had like 60,000 PS5s this month for the US, and that ain't shit.
So I wanna ask you something, Nelson. Domestically, what do you think is happening?
I don't know. I don't know why they're not. This is a battleground. They should be like. I understand why they're not sending a lot to Japan because they know they ain't buying no fucking Xbox in Japan. But I don't know why they're not trying to get more. But they're also a battleground in Europe too. So they sent like the majority of their shit to Europe. So I don't really know how they're trying to split it up.
So I'm gonna intervene with this and say that the reason why they made, because they never said they sold. I haven't seen them say that numerically, like number of units that they sold more. But let's go by what Nelson said and say that they did. They are still.
I see in the charts for June.
Well,
I can't remember where I seen
I
it.
hope it's not VG charts, because Matt
I don't know.
Piscatella,
None of them is accurate. So
because Matt Piscatella said, and so did the guy from Twitter. He said that money wise, they made more, but Switch was still overall in terms of like units. But he never said that Xbox was second place either. He just says
no, because worldwide they're not.
we're not. No, no, no. This is when you say MPDs, that is domestic, and it should be understood that way. Domestically, it sold that much. Be that as it may, um, I want to, since I'm not sure where your source was, I'm going to say that they made more money because of the Xbox Series S,
Why?
because they probably get a sizable profit with that console since it's such a half baked console. The only thing that they have that is decent is the fucking CPU. Has half the RAM,
Yeah, there's no memory in that
it's
shit at
no
all.
memory, half the RAM. The GPU is not the same GPU, but less. It's a different type of GPU with less. And they're selling it for $250. Is that how much it is?
I think it's something in that
It's
ballpark.
300.
It's 300.
It-
Oh yeah,
yeah, something like that.
So they're probably getting a $50 profit from that.
Umar said Nelson fell asleep.
Now he said that a while ago. That shit old. But I think that's why they say new man. But you know what's more curious, and that's a different topic. But I figure I'll just say that. Why are people altering the narrative for Microsoft? Like, just say that, you know, Sony made this, Nintendo made that, Nintendo did this, Nintendo was the first out of everybody, Xbox was second. You know what I mean? Why not? You know what I'm saying? Why not say that?
Yeah, just keep it pretty straightforward instead of it
Like
being
they're
more
like
like
doing all these gymnastics contortions to you know what I'm saying, make them, give them a W for some reason.
you know what, man? I honestly, like I said, man, I honestly believe that the fact that Sony can't get the PS5s out to people is more damaging to
Oh,
them than the actual, you know,
they
console
can't. They
competition.
can't. They can't. There's nothing they can
Yeah, they
do.
can.
There's a whole shortage. So if they do get more out in the U.S., then they're gonna have to. And I think it comes in waves. You know, they give this country something, this country something, that country something. They have to come back. I think that's the reason why they ended up winning. Whatever the fuck they won, because we don't quite know what that means. It's just that it was Xbox's best, but I think they're getting a lot of they're recouping off of that shitty console.
Well, you got to buy that memory right off the bat, so you're at 500 right away, unless you want like 3 games on that bitch.
True, and then you do have to buy the SSD too to make that shit worthwhile. And maybe they're
Wait,
hoping
which
that,
game? Which
You got
console are you talking about?
364 fucking gigs after fucking that SSD. You get nothing. You got nothing. That's nothing. And then keep in mind, games take up a lot more room. A lot of them on Xbox too. So imagine having half the fucking space you have now on a PS5, plus fucking
Umar, you got
games
what?
are 40% more on a lot of them.
You got what? You got a Series S?
No, I just know how many
No,
gigs
Umar.
they have.
No,
No,
Umar.
he's talking to Umar.
Oh,
You know Umar didn't get one yet. it's,
he's just trolling. He ain't gonna buy that
Uh,
shit.
it's
yeah, I don't
like
know.
Xbox Series S. Nah, fam.
But
No, man.
the thing is, it's like I think they're getting, see, with Sony, them selling the digital version is probably, you're still losing money. They're trying to recoup
Yeah, but
off of it, you know, but they can't recoup off of it because they're selling it at a loss, $100 loss. I mean, I'm sorry that it's $100 less than the original PlayStation 5, and I
you'll
think
get more for every sale of game though going forward too. That's more money.
right, and that's why the PS5, okay, and that's probably why they're not making the money. You know what I'm saying? They can't supply it, and they're making their money based off of a PlayStation Plus, and they're making their money based off of the games that are being sold. But people can only buy the PlayStation 5 games if they have a PlayStation 5. Hence the reason why they're doing cross-gen, because how can the fuck
Yeah.
you buy an exclusive game? There's so many layers to this shit.
Yeah, man. That was the other thing too, you know, because a lot of I don't know, like the whole thing about GT and all that, right? Them making the PS4 port or whatever. I think that also has to do with the fact that they just can't get consoles to people, man. Um, you know, and they're trying to, like, you can't have a game that costs $200 million to make, right, and not be able to recoup the money for it. You know what I'm saying? So what do? You make a version that's available to the biggest platform that you have right now, the PS4. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I guess in terms of money, it probably doesn't hurt them that way. But in terms of getting PS5 consoles out to people and pushing their new content, yeah, it's definitely putting a halt on that, man. You know, it's hurting them, I think. And I don't know. I mean, I'm hearing that it might even be like for the next couple of years, not a couple of years, but you know, maybe like the next year or so, you know what I'm saying, where they're going to have these issues with the supply constraints and the semiconductors and all that type of stuff, man. So, and honestly, man, I think meanwhile, I think people are starting to just, and it's not even because like I think people just want the Xbox over the PlayStation. I just think that everybody's still kind of like in the mindset of like, get into next generation, you want a next generation console, right? But you can't get the freaking PS5, you know,
So people
and
ain't
they
so
can't get
people
it
ain't
out.
just jumping around. They're thinking like, oh, what's the difference? You know what I mean? There's no. I mean, all I'm going to do is play Call of Duty or whatever the case is. So in a way, that could be hurting them. But I'm gonna tell you right now, Sony has spaced out things in a very strategic way. And if you haven't understood what they were doing, then you're going to figure out their plan very soon. It's going to make a lot of sense. It's going to make a lot of sense.
Umar said, "Why would I get a Series S? I have no need for one."
Shit, I don't know.
Yo, did you see the thing about DJ Khaled thinking it was a speaker box?
Yeah, that was funny. Nobody know what a goddamn Xbox looks like.
That shit did look like a speaker box. Like, what the fuck is
It
this
does
shit?
look like a speaker box.
It does. Sony made one that looked like that.
Wait, here's what I think, right? They spaced their games out perfectly for 2022, right?
And Dude, Devil Shooter said Steam Deck better than Xbox.
I mean, everything's better than Xbox, so
I don't know if
And
that's a cap or not.
So that's not really saying much. But I will say this: when 2022 happens, right, they will probably be in a better spot to create more consoles. Don't forget that the Switch and the Wii really sold with the constraints when they were able to make some, just like the
They
Switch,
made them.
and people gobbled them the fuck up. You know what I'm saying?
They
So
went with their town on that one.
what you say?
A lot of people are getting Xboxes because it's so damn hard to find a PS. You can go get it one at GameStop if you're, you know,
That's what I'm
they're
saying.
available for a few hours. Like my buddy got one or whatever because he's always had Xbox and he don't really play games anyways. He plays on his PC, but his
That's,
other Xbox took a shit so he can keep his library
well, that's what I'm
and he
saying.
could just go to the store and get the bitch.
Well, that's what I'm saying. People don't understand yet.
People don't want to pay a G.
Well, people don't understand what next generation is until Sony really shows them what next generation is. Because God forbid, Microsoft is they just are incapable of showing or caring. You know what I mean? All that power, and they are incapable of displaying that power. The reason for you to get the fucking console as it stands, right? So the plan. Umar asked me, he says, what's the plan, right? What is the plan?
You know what's funny before you say that, man? Before you go on, because Nelson said his buddy walked into GameStop or wherever to get the Xbox. I literally, because you already know that I bought one. I got the Series X. Whoa, but yeah, I literally when they did the drop online, I took my time, man. I got my credit card. I was like, yo, I'm kind of hungry. Let me go get something to eat real quick. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah, you
I
got a
put
good
yo,
couple of hours when that drop comes. The PlayStation, you got 30 to 60 seconds, or you're fucking
yo,
ass grass. Sorry, you ain't getting one.
Yo, if that, dude, you gotta have like freaking 5 phones, 2 computers open. Like you gotta got like 10 bots ready to snatch that thing, man. It's like, dude, when the Xbox Series X dropped, man, I was like, oh shit, I was like, I think I might have missed it. I went back on the website. I was like, oh, it's still here.
Yeah, you can't do it a
Yo,
normal way.
I've walked in. I could have walked out of Walmart like 2 of the last 3 times I've been there with the Series S, just sitting there. Like, what's up? I'm here. I'll be here tomorrow if you forget about me.
Because you can't do that normally because you'd be pretty fucked. So
Yeah, I took my time, man.
so here's the plan that I believe.
Go ahead, man.
Here's the plan, right? Sony has been pushing their games. Microsoft is not showing you what the console could really do. So people are thinking that there's a slight upgrade or frame rate. That's it. There's a lot of things that these consoles, both of them, could do. So Sony is kind of strategically lining up their games, first party games, which you already know what kind of caliber games that they are, for when the PlayStation 5 will be more available. Once they have that decent lineup, to say that, hey, we have a PS5 right now for this amount of money, and this is the library that we have. This is what you're going to get when you buy a PS5. and it's going to look so crazy compared to the competition, man. It's going to cause an absolute spike, and they're probably going to be back into a shortage again. But
I
the
think I
word
will
is out.
too, to be
The
honest.
word is on. The word is going to be out because people think that you're going to have a 3 to 5 frame difference, and it's not going to be that much different, and you're splitting hairs. But when you really are talented, and you're putting things to use, oh yeah, it's going to be a difference for sure.
Yeah, I really do think that that whenever Sony kind of shows whatever games they're working on, it's going to be a massive difference. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah,
to
if
be
shit'll
honest,
actually look next gen,
I think so. I
that
really
would be
do.
cool.
I really do. Like right now, people are kind of like, "Yo, where's Sony with some of their games?" Right? They talk crap about Horizon, which even though the game looks incredible, you know what I'm saying? But then people still talk about the fact that it's on the PS4. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it looks
I
better than anything that
It
they
looks
got
better
coming
than
out.
anything on the PS5. So
on the PS5, which is actually true. I don't think there's anything else that looks better than it at the moment.
if what they showed is that it really is, it looks better than anything on the PS5 that we've seen. You know what I mean?
So
So
far, yeah.
we
But I
already
think
have we
once we
already have
kind of get it,
Ratchet. We already have Ratchet and Clank. So and we know what that looks like, and it's like okay, you know.
They ain't got nothing that can compare to Miles Morales yet.
Oh, you think Miles Morales looks better than Horizon?
No, no, I'm talking about Xbox.
Oh no,
Xbox.
Not even in their future. At least that I've seen that's not CGI.
I mean, well, Kim would say that the fucking um, what do you call that game again? Forza 6, 5. What is it?
Forza Horizon 5.
Forza look good, but Forza always look. It looks just like four.
I
When I
can't.
see,
I can't wait for you
it's
to
not really a
see.
knock though.
I can't wait for you to see what it will look like on Xbox One. The difference is literally going to be like resolution.
Didn't they? Wasn't that game running on a PC? It was running on a high-end PC,
Wait, hold
right?
on.
When
Demon
they showed the
Souls
demonstration.
remake. Yeah, it was. Demon Souls remake can match what? Because if you talk about Horizon, is an open world game. Well,
Versus a racing game.
no, he's talking about what Horizon Forbidden West is an open world game with day and night cycles. I dare somebody to
Yo,
render that peach fuzz.
yo, Umar, bro, I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. I think Horizon looks better than Demon Souls, man. As much
Me
as I
too.
love the game, I just think it looks better. You know what I mean? And it's a bigger game too. It's a wider open game. He's Devil Shooter said you're low, Josh.
Am I low? Let me see.
Yo, turn your ears up.
What about now? Am I good? Can y'all hear me? Hello?
I can hear you fine, man. I don't know why it keeps coming through low on his end.
Turn the lights on.
But yeah.
Hmm?
But yeah, man.
What about now? Am I good?
No,
All
sound like you just fell down a hole.
right.
No, you gone.
He sounds good to me, man. I don't know.
I mean, I'm streaming it.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, he sounds good to me. But
I know I sound good to you. He touches himself.
When I
Yeah,
think about
got that soft voice.
it pampers my ear.
Yo, Devil Shooter said Demon Souls better than Horizon Forbidden West for me. Oh man.
Hey, Devil Shooter, do you have a PS5?
Yo, you literally say everything that pisses Josh off, dude.
I'm just
Yeah,
wondering. I'm
Ragnarok
just
was.
wondering, does he have a PS5 yet?
Oh man, oh no. Maybe Ragnarok will surpass Forbidden West. Well, to be honest, if any game could, that one definitely would. The possibility to, for
Sure
sure.
won't be anything Naughty Dog making. But
Yeah. Yeah, I can't wait to see what they're doing with God of War, man. I think that's going to surprise people, even though the fact that it's going to be running on the PS4. Um, yeah, but yeah, that kind of getting back to the topic though, man. I really do think that, um, just some of the shit that's going on with the fact that Sony can't get the consoles out to people. Even I think you're right though. To be honest, I think you're right. Like once Sony starts showing some of their future games, and like
I think
what
they're really holding back because of that a lot.
I
No, no.
They don't
I
want
think
to
so
show
Honestly,
stuff
too.
you
far
say
out.
wait. You say you don't have it.
He said no.
Okay, then. So kindly get the fuck off the subject. Thanks.
No, but I honestly
I'm
think you're
fucking with
right
you.
though, man. Like right now, Sony like they have their launch lineup or whatever, their first year lineup and launch window, all that type of stuff, right? But I think when they start showing the big stuff, it's gonna start really pushing people in. This shit, they might even they might even be in a similar situation, where they are now, where they just can't keep up with the demand. You know what I'm saying? Due to the fact that the consoles are in a shortage or whatever,
As soon as I
because
think
of the
that
resources.
the quotas start getting close to each other, where supply is starting to get to meet demand, they'll push it right back right up.
Yeah. Honestly, I think that's the reason why they kind of they did the whole thing with GT7, putting that game on the PS4 because they just they can't get enough consoles to people, man.
Like
At least not right now.
they can't show you the sweet nectar and don't have you can't supply to people. You know what I mean? They gotta.
You can show nothing and you still can't keep them in stock. Why blow your load when people? We don't need people killing each other in the streets for these things.
You can't use that argument, man. You said, "Do I have Forbidden West?" You can't.
Forbidden West.
No one have it. No one has it. So you can't compare the two.
Hey, you know what, man?
But
I'm not gonna die on
but
that
I'm
hill,
one
man.
but I'm one step closer than you though, because I have a PS5. So
Man, yo, honestly, I really can't wait until Sony can start keeping up with some of the demand, and then we can kind of really start getting a better idea of like where the PS5 stands
Sony knows
in
though.
terms of
Sony knows where it stands, and they're like, "Yo, if we had the fucking supply, man, shit."
yeah,
Yeah, I know two guys who were like, "Yo, I bought a Series S just so I could kind of get in the next gen because I'm not paying $1,000 for a PS5 right now."
Oh, they're gonna
You
be
know
like,
what's funny
they're gonna
too
be
that
like,
you mentioned that?
mm, mm, mm.
I was gonna say something about that too, man. Honestly, I even though even though the PS5 is out of stock and the Xbox Series S is more abundant, right? I think the PS5 is more in demand than the actual Xbox Series S. You know what I'm saying? Even from like scalpers, you know what I'm saying? People who
Oh yeah, they're
raise
way
prices
more.
and stuff like
Usually, you
that.
looking at 600 to 700, like 700 for a Series X, and there's a half as many being produced as, well, like a quarter as much as the PS5 in general, because they're splitting the resources there. And
Yeah,
a PS5, you're looking at 700 to 1100.
yeah. I guess it depends on where you get it. Yo, what's going on, Logical? Yeah, but yeah, it seems like if you can get like the PS5 for like I don't know somewhere between like 700 to I don't know, some people out here paying $1,000 for that thing, man. I mean, I don't know if I would personally,
My
but
buddy paid a G for it, but he got Miles Morales, Ratchet and Clank, and a controller too. So that was the best deal he could find.
I'm still
yeah, I know when when I went to pick up my PS5, man, some dude he was trying to get them too. It's just like everybody else. He was like, "Yo, I'll give you $1,000 if you give me your PS5 right now." It's
I'll
like,
suck your dick.
I gave you a G and a back rub.
I'll give you a
Yeah.
cheeseburger.
Yo, I'll rub your feet, homie. You know what I'm saying? I'm real good with my hands.
I'm real cool with my.
Yeah, man. But yeah, I don't know. I can't wait to see what they're working on, man. Because I really do. Because like, and here's another thing too, and this is a bit off topic. The whole thing about the $70, man. I think that's gonna go out the window, bro. I mean, completely.
Yeah,
I mean, right
when
now
the
we're kind of
publishers
like,
start releasing games at $70, they be like, "Oh, oops."
yeah, like right now, there's still kind of like the conversation between like,
Everything's still cross gen too,
that's the thing.
and
You know
nothing
what I'm
really
saying?
looks next gen.
Yeah, that's part of it. You know what I'm saying? Because like a lot of people are still kind of like, yo, I don't know, this game, is it really worth $70? Um, but then again, a lot of the games that we're getting are, stuff like Miles Morales and, Horizon Forbidden West, even though it looks great, still a cross-generation game, you know? So I don't think we've hit that threshold yet where people really, really start to see the quality that the PS5 can really push. And I think once we do, that whole $70 thing is gonna go out the window because I don't think the competition's gonna keep up, man. Talking about competition, no, at least not in terms of the quality of the games. But I don't know. Did you guys have anything else you wanted to say about this topic? I
No,
think we
I
pretty much
actually
said
don't. If
everything.
you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm just trying to put my fucking
You know,
uh
it's funny since I don't have my PSP no more. I actually stopped at a pawn shop today to see if they had a PSP or PS Vita, but they were closed on Sunday.
I might get one, man. Like low key, man.
I've been trying to get one, but I
like
don't want to pay fucking
it's
four
gonna
hundred
make you
dollars for a used Vita.
it's gonna make you angry, man. You be like, wow, it
People
could.
are charging crazy for a used Vita, man.
You be like, man, it was really like this, really, and people didn't want it. It's gonna piss you off.
Yeah. But yeah, you could take over, man, if you want to go ahead with the next topic. I don't have anything else to say unless Nelson does.
Yeah, do you have anything to say, Nelson?
Nope.
So we're gonna move on to our last topic. We saved the best for last, of course, and that is the Jim Ryan interview that they had with TMTPost. He gave a lot of insight. I think a lot of people just didn't give a fuck about what he was saying because they just hate him so badly. The Jim Ryan hate is just thorough. um, so he gave a lot of insight, and I think one of the things that people were actually kind of like really kind of flipping out with is how he says. Let me just try to find this here. Give me just 1 second. I apologize. I usually have that shit on point. Um,
Yo, I can't wait, dude. Like that whole interview with Jim Ryan, man. I really liked a lot of the stuff that he said in the interview, man. You know,
I don't know why I can't find it. Let me see. Jim Ryan talk. Okay. People got upset about this though. He was like, "A best game can arouse." This is the most important thing, which was headliner. Bring back a PSP to. um, a best game can arouse certain emotions of the player, such as making the player feel excited or feel adrenaline rush or feel happy or sad. I feel like that was really important to me. Um, they let me know what's going on. I hope Devil Shooter didn't. I hope Devil Shooter he should know that I'm just joking with him.
yo, Umar said Jim
I
Lion.
know he's there.
Logical said Jim
Is
the goat.
is emulator for a Vita a thing? If so, Steam Deck may be able to emulate the Vita. I think they should be able to emulate the Vita. Honestly, Devil Shooter. So it kind of let you know where Sony was going the whole time because a lot of this stuff gets sent to corporate to see if if it could be approved or not. And you got The Last of Us Part Two giving you the sad feeling. You know what I'm saying? You had the Motor Storm and things like that where it may give you an adrenaline rush or things that make you feel happy, such as Ratchet and Clank. Um, I honestly feel that I mean, before this interview, I was like, man, it looked like they kind of. I was thinking that in my head. It looked like they were kind of tackling different emotions. They were playing on people's emotions, and Naughty Dog kind of like started that as well. Another thing too, one of the
They grabbed that bitch by the balls, dude.
they did. So another thing that they said is about indie teams. You know what I mean? So they said that they're usually about 10 to 20 people, and through supporting these studios, we are also incubating game product or products and establishing relationships with these studios. Perhaps they will be the next generation of a AAA game developer, maybe in the next few or 5 years. So they're definitely working with these indie developers, and guess what? They've done it with Housemarque. Small studio, had all the help and resources that they needed to make the game that they made, which is one of my favorite games. of last generation and this generation. Just absolutely immaculate to me. You know, and they say one of the commodities of these acquired studios is that we have a working relationship with them for several years before acquisition, which means that we have a deeper understanding of them. We know their operating mode, advantages, and development capabilities, and we also know where they need to improve, which makes it easy to merge the studios. The process has never been easy, but it is far more better than buying out some studios that we know little about.
Yo, this is being dumb
She
in the
just got
commentary.
shit on him.
Go ahead, man. Go
What
ahead.
happened?
Now I'm just looking at the comments. They're funny, yeah.
Which one?
Logical said, "The Last of Us 2 to go." Josh been a
Oh, he's
hater
talking about
because his
that,
daddy died.
man.
Yeah, and then Devil Shooter said, "Logical started it, not me."
He put it in capital letters. Listen, for all that it's worth, logical, man. I'm not gonna lie. It did open up a lot of possibilities for me to watch body builder chick porn. I did start watching that because of that game. So
That's your new genre, man.
that's my new genre. It was getting stale, the amateur shit. You know what I mean? And cream pies. So now it's bodybuilder woman at the gym. So what's your take
Oh
on the
man,
stuff that they said? Because he said, "Oh, what's going on, man?" He walked in on a rose.
yo, what's good, Black? What's good?
Yo, Black even innocent, yo. He's like, "What's oh?"
He said, "What the fuck were you guys talking about, man?"
I walked into a gun show.
There's a lot of things to unpack. What were some of the things that kind of stood out to you?
To me?
Wait, stop. Facts. What's this facts about? But go on, please. Just type it in. I'll communicate with you on the chat. Yeah, what were some things that was cool for you?
So some of the things that stood out to me, man, were one, the fact that Jim Ryan said that they want to focus on making the best games in the industry, man. You know what I'm saying? And I always, even a while back, man, I used to talk about that interview with Sean Layden. I forgot which event it was. They had an interview for Sean Layden, and he mentioned there were three things that that PlayStation that was kind of like the lifeblood of PlayStation. You know what I'm saying? And he said it was, I believe it was, they want the best, they want the first, and they want the must. I think that was the last one. And some of the stuff that Jim Ryan is saying in this interview is just kind of reinforcing that for me. You know, the fact that they don't want to just like pump out a bunch of games. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, they would, they can get as many games out there as possible, but the idea is to have the best possible because like he said, and it's true. People don't remember okay games, man. People remember the
You
big
could have
games.
a whole bunch of pieces of shit, but in the end, you just got a big pile of shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Which,
You know,
the
just
funny
like
thing is, which is funny because Days Gone fell into that. Even though it is a successful story at the end, they wanted that to be like unanimously like everyone said is a
Game of
great
the year
game.
contender.
You know what I'm saying?
It should have been though.
And
It was my game of the year.
because it fell short, there's people that still say to this day that it was mid because it fell short from being critically acclaimed.
that's what it was.
It didn't fit that narrative that they were just saying. So I can understand that this has definitely been at play for a while. My bad, I didn't want to cut you off.
No, you're good, man. You could jump in, bro. But yeah, because even like I think it was like a month or a couple of months ago, they came out with the information about Sony being, like more into Metacritic than most people thought. And I understand it because, their whole thing is about public perception. You know what I'm saying? They want people to know that their platform is the premium place to play, is the best place to get the best experiences. You know what I'm saying? So Days Gone, I did kind of, even though I thought Days Gone was a great game, it had a great story, although it had its issues, well documented, like most people know. It just didn't get the critical acclaim that, say, God of War. People are still talking about God of War to this day, bro. Like freaking Horizon Zero, not even Horizon Forbidden West. Horizon Zero Dawn was trending not too long ago. You know what I'm saying? That's how much people love those games. And those are the type of games that people remember. And that's the type of stuff that they want to bring to people, you know, on the PlayStation. That's what they want their console to be viewed as, you know? So yeah, I think that's awesome, man. I think I like the fact that they are focusing more on the quality of their games, you know, and really having a great public perception as to like them having the quality experience in terms of like the games and the whole platform overall. So that really stood out to me, man. You know, and there
What
was some other stuff too.
What about you? Before you go on to the other stuff, what about you, Nelson? Did you read that article at all?
Yeah, it did. I
What was some?
completely agreed. Do you remember the mid games that you played on Super Nintendo, or do you remember those games? You know what I mean? Those games that you still talk about to this day.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't remember every Super Nintendo games that I had that I played for a few hours and was like, I kept playing those ones that were great over and over. You know?
When you remember N64, for the people that are not as old as we are, N64, the game that you know is Mario
Fucking
64,
boomers.
Ocarina of Time, and GoldenEye, and Perfect Dark. Everything else starts
And
to suck.
Majora's Mask
Well, yeah,
and Banjo.
everything starts to. Well, no, they're the top games, and then everything else starts to fade a little. When you look at PlayStation, you look at Tomb Raider, Final Fantasy, Crash,
Metal Gear,
Tekken, Metal Gear. Everything else starts to fade after that point.
Castlevania Symphony of the Night.
That's fucking fading apart. And
No, it's not.
it's not as popular. When you look at
Yes, it
Halo,
is.
no, it's not. And when you look at Halo,
Number two.
you got Halo 2. And what else on Xbox? Cyber Filter. No, I'm sorry. Splinter Cell. And then Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah, man. And even for the PS4 generation, you know what I'm saying? Like when you think about like the games that were available on the PS4, man, you know, you think about fucking Bloodborne, everybody talks about that. Uncharted 2, I mean Uncharted 4. You know, Spider-Man, God of War, Horizon, Ghost of Tsushima, they obviously just came out, you know. So those like these are the type of games that people,
Shut up,
you know,
Black.
are constantly constantly talking about, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, Gran Turismo, yeah, all that
Oh,
stuff,
Gran
man.
Turismo too.
You know,
Yep.
yeah, Gran Turismo. You know, like I don't know, man. I just
But now they're focusing on the emotional side because they know that when you tap into the emotional side, man, it makes it very hard to forget. Very hard to forget. You again, you had the adrenaline rush that was Uncharted 4, right? You had Bloodborne that struck, fear in you.
bro. When I played a Bloodborne, man, when I finished that game, I had such a roller coaster of like emotions, bro. I didn't even know what to do with myself when I finished the game, man.
Did
I
you
really didn't.
did you masturbate?
I did.
Okay,
It was sensual too, man. Ugh.
this nigga.
But go on, man. I just wanted to throw that in there.
What else was there? I can't really say Drive Club because they got shitted on, even though that was one of my favorite games. God of War was that tender moment, that love for Atreus and shit like that. You had anger when it came to when it came to The Last of Us Part Two. You had Spider-Man, which was that thrilling type feeling. You know what I mean? Um, what else was released on the PS4? I can't. There's so many fucking games.
Yeah, there were a lot, man. But I think those were like the major ones that kind of like stood out. You know what I'm saying? Like when people talk about the PlayStation 4, you always hear about God of War, Spider-Man, you know, even to the point where people are like, yo, I would not even, I wouldn't play anything else except for God of War. You know, that's the only game that I would play because it was just that good. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, I don't know, man. Like I like the fact that this is something that's like their prerogative, you know, going forward. Um, and I wanted to mention this too because this was another point in the article, man. They mentioned that the new IP is the lifeblood of their company. Um, I think that's kind of like the second half of it. You know what I'm saying? The fact that they want to focus on obviously bringing the best games that they could possibly bring from not only from their studios, but also from their third party, all that type of stuff, right? And even their indies. I want to get into that too a little bit about the whole indie thing. But um, the new IP, man, like I said, that interview with Sean Layden a couple of years ago. They want the best. They want the first and they want the must, right? And this is just even more confirmation. They want the best in the industry. They want new IPs, new ways of experiencing games. And you can obviously tell that, Sony, they want people to experience games like in a different way. You know what I'm saying? They put a lot of R&D into the controller, which is absolutely revolutionary. You know what I'm saying? With what they do with the haptic feedback and all that type of stuff, right? And they revamped their audio, you know? So it's just like you could tell that what they're trying to do, and like I said, on top of that, they want to do the new IP and the best new IP. Yeah, this is definitely what they're trying to do, man. Um, make the best experience that they possibly can, and I really, really fucking like that shit, man. A lot, a whole lot.
Nelson, did you have any other like points of interest when it came to that article?
Nope, I just couldn't agree with them more because I don't remember a lot of that mid shit that happened years ago. People just don't remember that shit.
That the funny thing, illogical or logical. The you called him illogical earlier. I remember that. The funny thing, because I thought it was too. That's what I was saying. But the funny thing, logical, is that I was actually. Did we talk about that last week? Let me see here.
Talk about what?
I'm about to say it. I'm about to say it. Hold on.
I kind of wanted to save the indie thing for you specifically, Josh, because I know that it was something that you were kind of like keen on.
Yeah,
In term,
we did that
yeah,
last. We did that last week. Logical, where we talked about what do we expect these studios to come up with next. I mean, Naughty Dog could go to hell, but Santa Monica Studios, I am interested in that space game that they were making. I'm curious about that because they are making something. I believe we had this on our Rapid Fire podcast every Thursday. That we,
shameless plug.
what do you say?
Shameless plug.
uh,
Oh, he said he missed the show last week.
yeah, yeah. Um, we what was it? Oh, what was it? Guerrilla Games actually has like a couple of different games. One that's supposed to be an RPG, one is a shooter, and the other one is Forbidden West.
Forbidden West, yeah.
So, I mean, it's very interesting to see what kind of games they're making because Sony has been cultivating like really interesting games. He actually said that too. Let me see if I can pull up the article. It says some really cool things. But the other thing
Yeah,
that I
he
wanted to
did.
actually talk about why I find this, 'cause I can multitask. Please help. Um, um, just buying studios.
Yeah, I wanted to touch on that too,
Yeah,
because you
go
mentioned that
ahead. Yeah,
earlier.
go ahead and touch on that while I find what I need to find.
Yeah, because you mentioned it, and you mentioned it earlier, like, a few minutes ago about, the one of the highlights was the fact that they work with their like long-standing studios. Um, and I feel like that's definitely like because a lot of people keep saying, like after Sony purchased like Housemarque, right? Now they're just on the purchase spree, and I thought they were all about organic growth and stuff like that, right? And they are. Um, However, here's the difference. What they do is they work with the studios that obviously they've been working with for a long time, but not just that. They work with the studios that work well with their other studios. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to just pick anybody off the street, you know? So, a Housemark, for example, was a great fit for them because they had been working with them for so long, obviously, making obviously games like Alienation and I forgot some of the other games. I think it was what Matterfall and some of those other games, right? Resogun, obviously, they've been doing that for a while, but they just obviously they work well with their studios, Sony's other, PlayStation studios. So it was just a perfect fit. So Sony's not really like on this purchase spree, where they're just trying to buy everybody and, just get anybody that they can. No, what they're doing is they're being more strategic with the people that they choose, because at the end of the day, like what they're doing is their studios are all working together, you know.
And it really
That's why they
is.
call it a family. Yeah, I mean, when Jim Ryan talks about PlayStation Studios, they always use the term family. Family. You know what I'm saying?
So does
What does a
Microsoft.
family do? Well, you know how that goes. But here's the difference though. You can actually see the results from both sides. You know what I'm saying? You could see how, like, say for example, Sucker Punch, man, how they grew from where they were with, the Infamous series, which was a great series. I loved all the games personally, but they leveled up from that to where we are now with Ghost of Tsushima. You know what I'm saying? Or even Days Gone with Ben Studio. You know what I'm saying? They went from not making a game for a console platform, and I don't even know how long. It's been like 3 generations. And then they came out and gave us Days Gone. You know what I'm saying? Which I don't care what anybody says. It was a massive leap from what they were doing before. You know what I'm saying? And that just doesn't happen overnight, man. You know, that comes from, collaborating, working with other people, learning, being a part of a development community where they can really like nurture that kind of, that kind of talent. You know what I'm saying? And that's what they mentioned, in the article as well. They want people that work well together, um,
So
and whatnot. So
and what did you have to he put on his anti
Well, it's the same. Yeah, with Sucker Punch, man, they made what Rocket Robot on Wheels or whatever, and then they made Sly Cooper and stuff, and they were working with Sony, and then once Infamous 2 came out and it was great, then they bought them. You know what I mean? But they grew them the whole time. Same with Insomniac. Naughty Dog was like 8 people when they started working with them.
yeah, man,
They
exactly.
grow with them.
Yeah, and see that's the thing too because they
I
also
don't
look
think so.
like, for example, like Media Molecule. You know what I'm saying? Like Media Molecule when they came across them, they were just doing something like just so out there and it's just weird. You know what I'm saying? Um,
I mean, they
but
give
that's
him.
what they
They,
want
the
though.
whole thing is they give him a shot. That's the thing
They do.
because they didn't. They don't have to. They you know what I mean? Because they gave Media Molecule the whole Little Big Planet, and it was an absolute success. You know, and then with that success, they made Tearaway, which wasn't a lot of money to make, but it was definitely it showed their prowess and creativity. And then they said Dreams, and they allowed for them to develop it, which develop the game, which is that part of the article where they were like, it's frustrating when they need more time, but it's better to release a game that is great than to release a game that's okay.
See,
Um,
if sorry, man, if you look at the article, right, there's one question that they asked. They said the requirements of setting up a studio at Sony. Jim Ryan said these studios they should have excellent development capabilities. So they already like the studios are already kind of like on their A game. You know what I'm saying? They're already making good stuff, right? And then it says, and this I think this is even more important. They need to have some kind of artistic vision. You know what I'm saying? Like in terms of what they're trying to create, you know? And I think that's one of the things that they really look for, in terms of like uh obviously the studios that they work with, but also the type of games that are made on the platform that's associated with the console. You know what I'm saying?
right.
So
What about this indie
yeah,
thing
they
that you were talking about?
so the thing about the indie situation, because last I think it was a couple of episodes ago, you were talking about how, or we were talking about how, there was this narrative going around that Sony doesn't really, um, they don't like really care about indies. You know what I'm saying? They don't mess with indies, indie developers, and all that type of stuff. And we were kind of saying that that's not really the case. You know, And yo, bro, we are so
They're
prophetic when it comes to this stuff, dude.
We really
I
are,
swear to
yo.
God. I swear to God, if you go back and watch that episode, we literally said, literally, Sony is not that they don't care about indie developers. What it is that they want to have the best versions of indie games on their platform. You know, that you can't just take anything off the street, you know, and just be like, yeah, this is gonna be the Sony's stamp of approval, you know, for quality. Like, no, man, they're the biggest platform on like out of
Like
all of them. You know what I'm saying?
all these 2D developers, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, these 2D 8-bit. So I want to be up front with the God of War, Ragnarok. Shut your ass up. No.
No, it just doesn't
I
work like
liked
that.
it. I liked it how people were like, "Oh, Sony's not gonna make smaller games no more. They don't care about indies." I'm like, first of all, if it's a Sony studio making a fucking game, they're not a fucking indie anyways. You fucking momo.
Yeah, but we're like what?
People don't
But
even understand that. Like, they're not an indie. They work for Sony. They just want them to do bigger and better things.
they've made indie games in the past, and those indie games were like local for the PSP and shit like that. And you know, that was a I mean, that was few and far in between. But they were never an indie studio. You know what I'm saying? They have smaller projects, but they already
Yeah, but they're
got
not an
all.
indie. If
They
you
got
work for
all
Sony, you're not
these.
an indie.
Right, you got all
I
those
don't think people
studios.
understand that.
You got all those studios and all of those what the fuck you call it? These hardware fucking motion capture studios. They're gonna have to put that shit to use. They're not gonna have that shit sitting down. You know what I mean? So I mean they're out of control. But what was the question that you wanted to ask me
Who, me?
about the indie?
Oh man, I can't even remember. To be
Because
honest, I can't remember.
you went into the tangent. It was like, yeah, you know, we were so prophetic and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, because we like when you look at the type of games that they have coming to their platform right now, you know, the indie games,
Mm-hmm.
you could obviously tell that they cherry picked those games because they were probably the best that they had seen out of the bunch, you know? Like say Kana, for example, man, that game looks incredible. You know what I mean?
But people
That game
misinterpret.
looks better than most Triple
But
H this
people
year for real, from
misinterpret
what I've
what
seen.
Kana is. You know, they're like, oh, it looks like a you know kind of like a AAA game that didn't have as much of a budget, and I'm like, okay.
No, it wasn't. No, what was it was the best of the indie bunch.
That's why we
You
were.
know what I'm
This is
saying?
why we were talking about the indie stuff.
Fist too.
Fist, yep. That's
Weren't
another
we?
one.
Was that this podcast where we were talking about like what exactly? I think that was a different one. State of
Which
play.
one? Where we were talking about what
State
the
of
whole indie
indie
thing?
play. Yeah, we were describing to people what exactly is an indie game. And I think that was a different podcast that I was on.
It might have
Um,
been.
yeah, but I spoke about what an indie game was, and a lot of people they didn't get what an indie game was. An indie game does not mean 8-bit. An indie game means that it's and what do you call it? An independent studio that don't have the management telling them how to make things, so they have the freedom to do it, but they also, as a caveat, don't have the budget to do it. You know what I'm saying? So there are some things what an indie worries about an indie studio is having unique and fresh experiences and the lack of budget in the face of lack of budget. You know what I'm saying? They have to outshine the AAA studios by just being unique. That is not to say that it's supposed to be like an 8-bit game, which I don't know how people were like all up in that bullshit. It's not an indie
Yeah,
game, you
because
know. It's not 2D games.
yeah, see the thing was that, you know, I don't know, I think it was a few weeks ago, man. Some of these people they came out and they were like, "Yo, it's so hard for us to get, you know, our games in front of people on the PlayStation platform." Well, they didn't say PlayStation specifically, but obviously they were talking about the PlayStation or whatever, right? But they were basically saying that, yo, like we can't get our games in front of people. It costs $25,000 to get games in front of people, right? Well, it was your game the best. You know what I'm saying? What about games like Sifu? You know what I'm saying? Games like Kana, games like Solar Ash. You know what I mean? Like these games were obviously some of the best of the bunch, and that's why Sony's pushing them forward. You know what I'm saying? Games like Fist. Lost Soul Aside, dude. Lost Soul Aside was made by one freaking dude, bro. One guy. He released a trailer back in 2015. It looked better than a lot of AAA games out there, man. You know?
Still does.
It still does. That's why they picked him up because he was the best. He was the best at what he did. You know what I'm saying? And that's what they're looking for, man. So all of these people who are like, "Yo, Sony doesn't care about indies," and you know, why do we have to pay 20, nigga? Because you got to make a good game. You know what I'm saying?
And
That's
anyway,
why.
Yeah, they
and
can't
anyway,
promote there's 10, 20 indie games released every goddamn day. You can't promote every single one of them.
No, right? It really is.
There really is. Look on Steam, dude. There's all kind of shit out there. Some dudes release a game like on Steam and they'll release 10 different versions of it, and the only difference is you got a different gun.
And here's the thing.
Like there's like five
people-
zombies inside a world and your gun changes. That shit.
Here's the thing that's
Buy all for $4.99.
here's the crazy thing about this, right? There's
Yeah,
always
what's
gonna
good, Jemiah?
where is he?
I see him in the chat.
He put that little snap of me,
Yeah, the little yeah.
a middle finger snap thing. I'll never know what that emoji is. 'Cause I don't have it. That's the thing, though. They come out and it's always gonna be advertisement costs. Always going to be advertisement costs. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You got to pay for shit. It's just the way of the world. And if you was really about it, why don't you burn your bridges and say who it is for real instead of being a pussy? Why don't you say, well, Sony's not allowing us to do that? Why don't you do that?
I was too lazy to look it up, but someone said they looked up their game and it looked like fucking straight trash.
You know, well,
Steam just has everything, man. Steam just has everything, dude. It's like
there's no.
I'm looking at it one more
control.
time.
Yeah, I was looking at that too. There's no.
Yeah,
quality.
there's no what do you want to call it, quality control at all. It don't even have to work.
You know, but then because people was complaining, oh, it's breaking my console. Fucking stupid ass people, yo. I fucking can't stand it. There is a game on Steam called The Last of the Waifus. You know, see, that's you can't do that. So, you know, they want to sit there and say that they don't get that much money from Sony. Well, then cut them the fuck off. Then why don't you do that? Cut them off. Go to Steam. Go to your cell phone.
Go to
company.
Xbox. You know your shit ain't gonna sell nothing.
Go to Xbox. Go to Game Pass. Don't do that. Why don't you be about it
Man.
and go there?
Sell your 8 copies over there.
See, I think this interview was pretty telling. You know what I'm saying? Like we knew that, you know, because like I said, you know, me and Josh, we had been saying this for a little while now, bro. We are so prophetic when it comes to this stuff, dude. I'm telling you. But still, you know, even when you look at what they're saying, man, a lot of this stuff is just telling, man. You know, they don't want their reputation to be you know, like garnished because some dude wants to, you know, throw their 2-bit game. No, it doesn't work like that, man. Especially when you're the biggest platform out there. If you want to be viewed as the best, you have to have the best of the best. You know what I'm saying? And then not even just the best, you have to have the best and the unique best. You know what I'm saying? You have to have something different that you offer people. You know?
And let me let me just say that before I pass it back to you. You know, you really do have to be the best. You need to want to be the very best that no one ever was. To catch them is your real quest. You know what I mean? And to train them is your cause. Pokemon. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I love the I love the the plug, yo. Oh man, that's funny.
But yeah.
But it's facts though, man. That's what they're all about, man. They're all about bringing, you know, AAA content, obviously from their studios, and when whatever indie games that they have and they support, which they support a lot of them, they have to be the best of the best. You know what I'm saying? It's just it is what it is, man. Why do you think they are where they are now? You know, they're not where they are now because they have the second best. You know what I'm saying? The third best, the fourth. No, they are where they are now because they have the best of just in general. You know, Sony Studios are some of the best studios in the industry. Don't at me. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, what other studio was getting something like God of War? You know, other than studios like say
Shit
maybe Rockstar.
goes. Yeah, Rockstar is about it. I'd put up with the top 5 of Sony's consistently, at least, or semi-consistently.
And they take longer too, man.
They got 1,000 people too,
Right.
or
Yeah.
they have 2,000 people at Rockstar. Fucking Santa Monica's like 180.
Well, they take longer because there's a cash cow that's selling like crazy, so they don't have to do anything.
Facts.
If they release
Keep
something,
making them shot cards.
if they release something, it's all for optics. Has nothing to do with having to do it. They don't have to do it, you know.
But yeah, I don't know. I pretty much I went on my tangent, man. I don't really have too much else to say about it. Did you guys have anything else you wanted to say before we kind of close the show out today?
No, I don't have anything to say about it. I think we let it all out.
What about you, Nelson? You got anything?
No,
Seems like you. It seems like you are Ken. You let it all out. You squeezed out all the pre cum.
I did, yeah.
Terrible. I'm sorry, guys.
No, because you already know you already know how I am, dude. You already know how I am, man. Even when we first started this crap, I always told you, man. I love the fact that the just the culture behind what PlayStation does. You know what I'm saying? The fact that they nurture their studios, the fact that they want to be the best. You know, they want to be unique. They want to bring some of the new content. They want to bring new to people, and it's very obvious, it's telling, you know, because of things like the DualSense, the Tempest audio, and the fact that they're investing into new IPs and they want the best of the best. They even with the indies, they want the best, you know what I'm saying, the best of everything. They don't want to be second best, they want to be first. You know what I'm saying?
if you're not
And
first, you're last.
And you bust
Yeah.
and you bust your ass to get up there. So like it's kind of like this, right? And I'll say this, and we can close. And by the way, thank you so much for jumping in there this Sunday and spending some time with us, making the chat lit. You know, I'm really glad you guys keep showing up. You know, I know I'm not speaking just for myself. I think everyone in the panel is pretty appreciative of you guys being here.
Yeah, man, shout out to everybody in the chat, yo, making it litty.
But I will say this: if you lived out in the streets and you started gathering cans, you got enough money, you know what I'm saying, to get a bicycle, and you took that bicycle and you got your first job and you became a manager and then you became CEO, and it took you a course of 15 years to do, and then you see an employee like just so fucking lazy, you're not going to want them to be on your team because you know how hard it was to get up there. You know what I'm saying? You knew what the hard work is. So if you're not on that level, yo, I'm not supporting you. You're not even trying, and a lot of these indie people are not trying. It's indie, it's a 2D game. It should just automatically sell based off of nostalgia. So, you know, Sony's like, yo, we did it. We had to pull ourselves out of nothing. We had to create our brand, right? Not only did we have to create our brand, we fucked up and then had to recreate our brand. You know, and the best thing you could do is bitch and whine over some raggedy ass game. Like, nah, you know what I mean? Like, no, we're not doing that.
You know what? Another thing too, I think some of these guys are doing. I think some of them are just throwing together some games, right? That they think, you know, would be good or whatever, right? And they think that they're just gonna make a killing because PlayStation is the biggest platform, not knowing that Sony's not going to endorse you if you have no artistic vision for your game, if you have no aspiration for your game to be the best of the best.
The platform,
You know,
the platform begs high quality. Even if Sony promoted it, it wouldn't go anywhere if it's shit. It wouldn't. PlayStation people, PlayStation fans are used to the PlayStation culture of high excellence. So, so
Welcome to high society.
You
Yeah,
know.
man.
So, but that's going to end. That's going to do it for us for today. Once again, thank you guys so much, and we'll be back next week with some lit ass topics. Absolutely. And you guys
Hell yeah.
take care.